NFL team betting previews. We got the Kansas City Chiefs in this one, a team who I think is the best team in the AFC, and it's probably the best Chiefs team Andy Reid has had since he's been in KC. This isn't really a hot take or anything, considering they're the favorites to win it. Chiefs are going for a three-peat. We've seen a three-peat in all other major sports, but never in the NFL, and it makes sense why. Usually what happens when teams win a championship, they're either faced with salary cap issues or their coaching staff begins to get poached. But we're not really seeing this with the Chiefs. They're bringing back the same coaching staff. Andy Reid and the general manager, Brett Veach, both got contract extensions and pay raises. They restructured Mahomes' contract. Kelsey got a pay raise. They re-signed Chris Jones to a big deal. All seems well in KC. Now, I grew up a Patriots fan. You don't really have a choice growing up in Boston who your favorite teams is. You're just kind of told. But now I understand why so many people hated the Patriots. It's not fun when one team dominates, and I'm starting to get this vibe from KC. At this time last year, I did have the KC offense rated league average, and after they lost to the Raiders Week 16 at home on Christmas, I thought there was no way they win the Super Bowl again, but KC is adapting year to year. They're evolving. It's not just winning in a one-dimensional way. KC won the Super Bowl last year playing a much different style than they have in previous years. They did it with an elite defense and no explosiveness on offense. Mahomes finished ranked 10th in EPA per dropback, was 21st in explosive pass rate. He had the third lowest intended air yards. KC only scored the 8th most points in the AFC, and they were actually the most profitable under team in the league last season, or tied for it anyway. They were just really a dead nuts under team, a sluggish offense and a defense that was really good, and they picked up the slack in most games. And it's not like KC had the league's best defense either, because there was some really good defenses last year, like all-time good ones. But KC did finish 6th in EPA per play allowed, while facing the third toughest schedule of opposing offenses, including the playoffs. The Chiefs' defense only allowed 4 teams to finish the game with an EPA per dropback above their season average. So the defense was great. They did carry the team, but Mahomes in this offense, turned things around when it mattered most. Even Kelsey, he was showing signs of wearing down late in the season. He was only averaging 50 receiving yards per game in the second half of the season, but it's like the Chiefs play possum in the regular season. Kelsey ended up averaging 91 receiving yards in the playoffs. KC is obviously the favorites to win the Super Bowl, rightfully so. They get one of the 10 most easiest strength of schedules. Even though they play 6 teams that I have ranked inside my top 8, they'll also play 7 teams I have ranked in my bottom 10. It's rare to see such like a clear contrast of top to bottom ops. I've seen some other strength of schedule rankings that have KC playing a much tougher schedule than I have them listed, but I think it's because I factor in a lot of situational things like travel, rest, weather, location. I'm not sure most publicly available strength of schedule rankings apply that type of stuff. For example, if we look at KC weeks 7 to 11, most would look at that stretch as around just league average, as San Fran, Buffalo being the 2 best teams, and they got some weaker opponents sandwiched in the middle. But during that stretch of games, KC will have a total of a combined 10 days of rest advantage over their opponents, which for me turns that average stretch of games into a much easier one. Strength of schedule is just a lot more than just opponent's record, which is what I think most strength of schedule rankings go by. KC will play 6 non-Sunday games. That's tied with Baltimore with the most primetime games in the league. They'll actually play each other on the season opener on the first primetime game of the season on Thursday Night Football. Make sure to be on the lookout for that game preview breakdown. It'll be the next upload, I think, after you see this video. Now, if there was one obvious issue with KC last season, it was the drop passes from receivers. They addressed this issue, though. They added Hollywood Brown from Arizona, who will add speed. They drafted Xavier Worthy, I believe, from Texas. He's definitely going to add speed. He had the fastest 40-yard time in the combine history, I believe. I think I have that right. They still have Rashi Rice, who was facing some uncertainty regarding a possible suspension, but looks like he'll avoid that. And reports are he has just been torching shit in camp, too. Everything I read is just him going off. Chiefs have some serious big play deep threats this year, too. And all the talks are about them, taking more downfield deep shots and being more aggressive on offense. I guess we'll have to wait and see if that pans out, but they definitely have the personnel for it. But it's going to be all about the defense. If they have a top 5 defense, they'll get back to the Super Bowl or at least the AFC Championship. The defense did lose L'Jarius Sneed, but slot corner Trent McDuffie should step in and fill that void, but that also means he will leave a void. Having both Sneed and McDuffie gave KC the 2 most physical cornerback duo in the league, and opposing offenses surely hated seeing that. Now opposing offenses can just avoid McDuffie and then pick on the other side with the younger defensive backs. The other concern here is up front on the offensive line. You guys know by now how important I weight the O-line. The difference in talent between the starting and backup offensive line might be the biggest drop-off of any team, starters versus backups, especially in the middle at center and the guards. If they don't stay healthy in this area, it's going to be trouble. And, Mahomes, who's great with sack avoidance, will really be put to the test big time. This also includes Kelsey, too. How much does he have left in the tank, A team like KC, obviously has much different expectations than 80% of other teams in the league. It's Super Bowl or bust, and, that Super Bowl experience they've built and have, one thing about being in Super Bowls is the deal. Like, the Chiefs have this big advantage over teams. It's an exhausting process to lead up to the Super Bowl with media, family, tickets, accommodations, planning after parties. The Chiefs are comfortable with this the same way the Patriots were. Even the halftime is longer, and when you've been in the Super Bowl, you know how it feels or how to adjust for it. I've heard a lot of players talk about how different a Super Bowl game is and how they wish they did certain things differently. A team, filled with players who don't have that experience are at a disadvantage. So KC isn't a team I'd be looking to bet over their win totals. They have nothing to prove in the regular season. Their goal is simple: make the playoffs and turn it on from there. The regular season is kind of like their preseason in a way. Andy Reid and defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo don't show much during the regular season. They hold their good stuff when the games matter the most. But you absolutely can't feel comfortable betting their under-win total with a head coach like Andy Reid. Of all head coaches with at least 10 seasons of head coaching experience, Andy Reid's teams have gone over their win total at the highest rate, 75%. And since he went to the Chiefs, he's coached them for 11 seasons now. He's gone over their win total 9 times. The 2 times they didn't, it was only by a half game, too. Maybe the Chiefs to win the AFC is the smartest bet at plus 300. I don't know. I certainly wouldn't argue with anyone betting it. I just need more juice to be worth the squeeze if I'm going to tie up money for 5 months. But betting aside, I think they represent the AFC side in the Super Bowl, which isn't a hot take or anything. But that's all I got for this one. Until next time, good luck with your bets.